I'm Miss Sally from Discovery Baby, and today we're going to talk about having a baby during the time of quarantine. So having a baby is one of the most special times in a couple's life, but during quarantine that can add a little bit of extra dilemma or stress to how you're going to deal with things that are going on. Today I have Callie and Brad Blake, who just had a new baby March 27th. And this is their second child. They already have one baby, a child that's 2, Olivia. And we are going to talk about how they prepared once they knew about the pandemic, and then what they did to get ready, and then now, since they've had the baby, how they have accustomed themselves to having a new baby and living in this time of quarantine. So if you guys want to start about telling me about what it was like when you found out on March 13th that we're going to be quarantined. What did you guys do?
So it was, like you mentioned, March 13th. That's when they started closing the schools down. That was when it was first entering into the country, but more specifically a little bit more the area. Well, we decided to go ahead and I do stay at home during the day with her. So at that time, we discussed that I would go ahead and just stay home as much as possible until we knew more about it. And at first, it was pretty easy to make the decision because things were shutting down really quickly. But then what was a little overwhelming was we just didn't know how long. We didn't know if it was a little overkill. I felt like a lot of people were still going out and about, but we had the ability to go ahead and stay home. So we made the decision we would go ahead and stay home. At the time, he was still going into work, but it was shortly after that they went ahead and asked for the stay at home for everyone who worked with him as well. So at that time, we went ahead and stayed home. We probably were a little more overcautious than we would have been had I not been pregnant. And early on, we were also protecting her, which later we found out kids are a little less worrisome, but we just didn't know with pregnancy what that meant. So we kind of went into a full-blown lockdown right when we got the news.
Yeah, and with my job, I'm able to, we shortly had us working virtually, so I was working virtually, so I wasn't coming into contact with anyone, and then we put a pretty strict rule with people who we were coming into contact. We didn't let anyone in our home that hadn't been quarantined for 2 weeks or longer, and we define that by saying going to the store is okay, practice social distancing and all that, but that was kind of our criteria for, we're going to stay away from friends, family, unless they had been social distancing and quarantining for 2 weeks, so, which was hard, obviously.
Sure. So you were 2 weeks out of having the baby. Tell me about how you felt, like your stress level.
So within the first few days of deciding to quarantine, I became very hyper-focused on it because everything was unknown, just like everyone. And my stress escalated so fast because I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know if I was higher risk or not, and quickly we were finding out that I was. And you start seeing these numbers come in, and for me it almost was, I was up in the middle of the night reading articles, watching the news reports, honestly terrified. And my due date wasn't until middle of April, so I actually was a little over a month out from my due date. But my stress around the house, I couldn't think of anything else except for how afraid I was. Because I honestly you go from, I wonder what labor's gonna feel like, and I'd had a baby before, but you go through these natural, I'm nervous to have a second child, I'm nervous about labor and delivery, I hope everything goes okay. And overnight, it turned into a life and death feeling, at least for me, especially because you didn't know. And there was one night at dinner that we reflected on, and Brad kept saying, you just don't seem like yourself. And I looked him in the eye, I said, I'm scared I might die. I was prepping these meals, I was cleaning these weird things around the house, And I said, I'm scared I won't come back home after this because I don't know what this is. And the hospitals were getting really scary. And I said, what if I go and I'm one of those people and I catch it and I don't make it home? So my level of stress was insane, and he
Since
talked
the
me down.
COVID-19 pandemic has come into place and we're all staying at home in quarantine, getting toilet paper, getting flour, getting cleaning supplies, that has been a huge issue. So how has it worked out to get supplies for your new baby?
So we were pretty lucky that I was trying to build a little bit of a stockpile before the pandemic came in. They say not to buy too many newborn diapers because a lot of times you don't know if they're going to even fit in them from the get-go or how long they'll be in them, but I did stock up on a few. Once the pandemic hit, I knew we needed to start getting as much as possible. So we had gotten our hands on one big wipes box from Sam's Club, and we felt like, okay, this will last us a week or two until we can buy another round. And you know, it's financially challenging to stock up a bunch, as well, all at once. And so we were trying to do what we could. We got a few things. It was about a week. The next time we were getting ready to do groceries, I was ready to get some more wipes and some more diapers to continue to build our stockpile, and they were gone. They were not available online. We couldn't order. We don't usually buy them online, but a lot of times I'll do grocery pickup or I'll do a diaper pickup when they're on sale at Target or wherever I can get them. And I thought, man, okay, they're not available online. They must not be letting people order mass quantities. So I sent him to go to the grocery store and said, we definitely need, just get as many wipes as possible, because with 2 children in diapers, we knew we were going to go through wipes regardless of what size of diapers. And I get a call from him at the store, and he's like, there's no wipes, none at all. Because he was like, there's no wipes here. I was like, well, don't get our brand, just get any that you see. We're going to need them, we'll use them. I said, no, there's none. The shelf is empty. I said, okay, what about diapers? And there was not the sizes we needed there. And it kind of hits you that, okay, but what do? we have, okay, let's give it another few days. And this is still pre-having her, so we had time. We went back every week. I was checking on the phone, and they weren't coming. And it got a little scary. So what we did is we found that they wouldn't let you order them online very much as compared to we'd find some in store every so often. And I had put a few, I'd be like, oh, they're online. I put them in my cart, and then I waited till I did my big grocery haul, and by the time I submitted a day or two later, they were out of stock. So I stopped doing that, and I started buying when I could, and that's still how we are now today. We're still having a hard time keeping up with our wipes, and we sent a picture of the wipes that we prefer to some family, but also said, if you're at the store and you see wipes, please grab them. I feel like our diaper supply is still pretty good where we're not struggling with that, but we did ask for help from family and friends that if they see them, you can pick them up and leave them at the door. This is something people can do to help us, and we've been blessed with that, but we are finding that we're buying whatever brand we can, whatever brand we see available. It's no longer picking out the brand we want. And I do know that would probably be really hard as a new parent, because this is something none of us have experienced before. It's hard enough to just keep getting all the supplies you need anyway, but it's another when half the time it's not there. I even had a conversation at one time with someone that I didn't know if I should buy some formula. Obviously I'm breastfeeding, but I was, just in case I needed it, and it was so hard to find. I was like, should I be stocking up on this? What if I have to feed my baby that way? And I made the decision I didn't want to take formula that maybe I wouldn't need and someone else might need at the time, but it has been very stressful to manage that. It's something I check in every couple days. I check in with our stores to see if they're available online to order, because if you don't act fast, it's not there.
Yeah, when you see it, buy it.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, because you'll run out.
And
Wipes,
Brad,
for sure.
didn't they say that you were having that conversation about the wipes in the grocery store, and a lady, after you
Yeah.
got off the phone, told you how to make baby wipes?
Yeah, it was for me. It was weird because I would never think to make her wipes at home. But a lady was saying that she'd been doing that for her kids, and she hadn't been able to find wipes. We hadn't tried that, but she seemed to be having luck with it, and if worst comes to worst, YouTube would probably teach you how to make your own wipes.
Yeah. Brad commented the other day that worst case scenario, we'll bring him outside and hose him down. And I said, could you imagine if we were first-time parents, if someone told us that was the next step? But no, we have been fortunate to be able to keep up with it. But we even today we're having the conversation like, well, before our last order, we've got about 2 days. Our order's supposed to come in 1 day, so I think we'll be good. So it's something that we have to manage, and you have to really strategize and prepare for that.
Yeah.
Was never like that before.
Something, try to, if you have kids already, you know this, but if you've never had kids, talk to your brothers and sisters or people you know that have kids and say, about how many wipes do you go through? I think we go through a Sam's Club box, which is, 12 packages
Yeah.
in 3 weeks? Or a box a month roughly, so because you've got to plan ahead. You're not gonna, we need wipes tomorrow, you won't have wipes tomorrow. So if you can kind of forecast, we've got 2 boxes, so we're good for 2 months. Great, start looking for that 3rd box.
Yeah.
That's great information to share because a lot of people don't think about that.
And we brought Avery down. She's still napping a little bit, but she's getting a little fussy. So here's Avery.
All right, so she is a beautiful baby. You guys are really lucky.
Thank you.
She's precious. So my next question is, you've gotten the baby's room ready. You've kind of gone through some grieving. You've reached that it's really a pandemic. The country's shutting down. Now you've got to go to the hospital. So what did you do to prep to go to the hospital, and how did that look like?
So we had a full action plan ready to go for when I went into labor. We did this the first time too, and I'm a big planner, so I was telling, you're going to be our person if we go into labor during the day, and you're going to be the person if we're at night, and you're this person on a Saturday or a weekday, or we had a whole plan. We wrote it out, we contacted everyone, let them know what our plan would be once we went in. Well, once it leveled from just normal delivery time to pandemic, we all of a sudden had to reconsider because we couldn't just drop our child off at a friend's house. We couldn't just have the neighbor come over. So, I mean, it was within 4 to 5 days that our plan got thrown out. And actually a friend of mine who was also pregnant sent me the link to our hospital and said, have you seen the update? And I opened it up, and our hospital had changed the policy to limited amount of visitors, 1 support person, no one else in the room. And I mean, my heart dropped because you have this image of your family coming to the hospital. I was very saddened when I found out my daughter wouldn't be able to come to the hospital at all to meet her sister. That was something I really struggled with, that idea, because I had been reading books about how to intro them, and I'd been, reading all these different things, and really we talked about our plan, how we were going to bring her in the room and meet her sister and introduce them, and that was not allowed for safety purposes. I was totally understanding that it's for health and safety, but so we sat down and had a really hard conversation of who, now that we have limited visitors allowed, who's going to be able to come to the hospital, who do we trust to come to our own home when we're very quarantined and very safe, and who's going to watch our daughter, and who do we feel comfortable during this social distancing time to bring into our healthy, safe space, clean space. Well, within days of that, it quickly changed, and at this point I have been every morning wake up and check my hospital page to check the visitor information, because it was changing every day. And I was hearing this hospital in the area was going to this hospital is going to this person over here are all my friends. I know a friend that didn't have their husband there. I know a friend that this and this happened. And so I was just every day was checking. I was calling my OB's office because our appointment policies were changing quickly as well. So I'd call before my appointment to make sure there weren't any additional changes. It was overwhelming, but what I realized was, at this time, what I envisioned and what maybe happened with my first baby, that was not the case. We're in a different time. This isn't a movie. I don't get to pick what time I have this baby. The goal is to get there, be safe, have this baby, have a healthy baby, and get home. And that's the only goal. So once I just got this fairy tale, what I wanted out of my mind and realized what it was important, then it was much easier to just go with it and understand the flow. So when we did actually have the baby, we went in and the other thing was a lot of the entrances were changing. They were limiting the entrances. They were limiting how many people could come in. So we went into the main entrance, went into labor in the middle of the day, and we were both screened. There's a guarded security officer there at the front door. There were probably 3 to 4 hospital staff all masked up, took our temperature, printed out an ID with our picture on it. I wore a mask upon arrival, and we went in, and at that time it could only be me and one support person. So no visitors, no additional people, and the support person really was asked to not be in and out often. Every time they came in, they had to be rescreened. So once.
So did you stay in the room the whole time once she was admitted?
For the most part, one thing I would have wished I would have done ahead of time was call and say, "Are you allowing food to be delivered?" And I go outside and pick up Chipotle, because the cafeteria, in the hospital closes at 7 or 9 p.m. or something. And when you're having a baby, you're up 24 hours a day. She's getting prodded 24 hours a day. So I wish I would have found out what their stance on that was. It ended up being we could order like Chipotle and have it delivered, and I could go down and get it and then be rescreened. But that's still a little stressful, they're taking all these precautions. Is Chipotle worth it?
Right.
So we probably would have thrown a few more things or food that we liked in our bag. Probably would have taken a bag of food. We had our bag with clothes and stuff, but it worked out. But I would stress for people to call their hospital and know what are they going to allow food to be delivered, or are you stuck in the room, can't leave the room.
Well, and there's also very limited cafeteria options because they shut down a lot of the self-service food as well. So even when he did go to the cafeteria, it was all prepackaged and same. I mean, you're just a little nervous about everyone handling your food. So it would have been nice to have a little more options for us. And I know we finished up labor and delivery late into the night, and all of a sudden I was starving. I hadn't eaten all day, and there was no option, and we didn't feel comfortable getting food from anywhere else. And so yeah, that was definitely a regret. And then he was able to leave and go get some things, but they didn't want him wandering around the halls necessarily, and they didn't allow him to go and get like water, refill the water ever, even just in the main area. They didn't allow people in there, or grab a cup of coffee, anything like that. So one, if you want food and drink, bring some with you for sure, because they just really want to avoid any foot traffic. It was almost eerie, like on a movie, with how few people were out and about in the hallways, how many few people were at the hospital, because they just were trying anyone who wasn't there for something urgent, you're just not there. So
yeah. So you had the baby,
mm-hmm.
and everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it? Nobody coming to visit. It was just you two. What was that like?
So the first little bit of time was, well, first of all, it was a beautiful time. They give you, I think they call it the golden hour. They give you an hour anyway of just you and the baby together. So that was all wonderful. It was a few hours later when it kind of hit us, like we had this beautiful, perfect, like our life, pride and joy in our hands, and we're so excited. And then there was this little bit of disappointment that no one else can share that moment with you. No one else, you have each other, and then you weren't able to have your mom or your sister or your whoever get to experience that love and that emotion with you in that moment. So at first we're kind of, we're sending pictures and we're sending updates and everyone's excited, but there's a little bit of a sadness. But it wasn't long after the sadness passed that we were actually a little surprised with how nice it really was. It gave us, the two of us with her only, I mean, we were there for 2 nights,
3 days.
and we thought we may never have this much time, just the three of us together.
That's true.
And, you know, of course we would have loved to share that moment with our family, but when you're just out of labor and delivery, it's not always the most glamorous moment of your life as a woman, because there's a lot that goes into it, and you're trying to figure out the nursing situation, and it was really calming not worrying about visitors popping in and out, and you know, you're up all night, and so you're not worried about, okay, well, we've got someone coming by at 1, so we've got to be awake. You know, if she's napping, you could nap, and just you really had your time to recover. And I felt like I was able to recover a little bit quicker, and you know, I could shower just when I felt like it and was ready, and you weren't having to cater to anyone else's schedule or time. And it was really nice, the three of us enjoying that together.
And I bet it really helped with bonding too.
It did. And from my perspective, it felt with Olivia, our first daughter, I was constantly texting people on my phone, sending pictures, and coordinating who could come in and out of the room. And you know, we could have a lot of visitors, but still getting people to the hospital. You know, this time I felt much less on my phone, because you know, we would just take time together and sit time with Avery, and then have a downtime. Okay, send a picture now, maybe FaceTime, but I found myself able to let go more, and just be there for Callie and be there for Avery. So it ended up, that experience being less stressful and much more peaceful than we would have ever imagined.
Sure, and that'll be a nice thing to write in the baby book.
Yes.
Make sure that you put that,
Definitely.
add that in. Now, you're home. She's 2 weeks old. So how's it been coming home with a new baby? What's life like, quarantine style, with a new baby?
It's different. It's different than when we weren't quarantined. The first week or two, she just hit 3 weeks. So the first 10 to 12 days, we really said it's kind of a convenient time. Not that that's, you know, obviously we don't want this to be going on at all, but we are already going to be quarantined anyway, really. We're really already kind of glued to the house. Like I said, you're trying to figure out nursing, so you're really just home. You don't want to take your baby out too early. So the first couple weeks, it was really nice and relaxing, and it's not like we were missing anything, I guess to say. And Brad's really blessed to have this time off work, that we just were here at the house, but now we're starting to get a little more, you know, just like everyone, you're stir crazy, but it's not even that we would be going anywhere. We're really missing the company.
Sure.
It has been sad to not have some family. So now she's 3 weeks, and most of our family has not met her. Really, nobody. I mean, very few people have seen her. And excuse me. Like I said at the hospital, this is the most important thing in our life, really. Like, you know, you have this child, and you're so proud of this beautiful creature you have, and then to not get that moment to share that with other people that you know will love her and care for her is hard. And it hit me just the other day, because she has grown a lot since birth, and I had this huge wave of sadness that just hit me, that you know, she'll never be as small as she was, and a lot of our family has not seen her or met her. We do the FaceTime, which is great. We've had some people that have, you know, been able to see her, pictures, but very few people held her at that small state that she was in. So it was sad, and it's been a rough adjustment. But
And one thing we kept with was, before she was born, we had if you're quarantining yourself for 2 weeks, you can come over and see us. We kept that as our policy, I guess, for lack of a better term. You know, if we did have family members who can work from home, and they're getting their groceries, picking up their groceries, but staying at home, we had a couple people that could come and see her, and that was a relief, but it was also really hard to have that conversation with our family who may work in the healthcare field or still be working, coming in contact with people. So when the support person out there, try to take that off of your wife's back and have that conversation for them, because they want to show their baby off, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
just having that conversation, your family will understand. It's a little awkward, but they'll understand. They don't want to get your newborn baby sick, right? So we stuck strong with that, and we have still, and that's worked out well for us, but it's definitely hard.
And one thing that really has differed and varied from our first child is we've kind of felt this level of isolation, as everyone is, but a lot of people offered help and support in ways with our first child, whether it be coming over and letting us, holding the baby while I go shower, or coming over or doing some laundry while I'm nursing, or just being here, conversation, things like that. Bringing food, bring gifts, stopping by, bringing a coffee. There's none of that, and it's not because people don't love and want to do it. It's no one knows how to help and support at this time, and that was kind of a hard thing. Not that you're expecting it, but it felt like, did people forget about us during this hard time? Are we forgotten? Do people not care? Well, that's not the case. It's just no one knows what to do. And so we definitely went through that where, we're lucky that this is our second, so we kind of know what to do already. And I did try to prepare a lot better this second time around, especially knowing we were going to be a little more isolated. But it was, it's been a little emotionally wearing to feel like our normal people who support and care for us and help us weren't there. Not that they're not there to support you, but weren't physically there. And like I said, even just for conversation sometime, or to offer to show their love in one way or another.
So what about if advice for a new parent? Like, what do you guys would want a new parent to know when you're going through this quarantine time? What would be some good advice for them?
Well, my biggest piece of advice for a new parent going through this is, this situation, this pandemic we're in, and you going through being a new parent, it's not fair. It's not right. And don't be afraid to feel that way. Don't be afraid to be mad or to be sad or to feel that way, because if you don't express that and if you don't get that out as a new parent, because you've been robbed of some normalcy, some beautiful moments that you expected, that we see in the movies, that maybe you've been trying for years to get these moments, it has been taken from you. And just in that, know that obviously, this pandemic is bigger than us. So it's an unfortunate situation, but don't let these emotions and this feeling of isolation or this disappointment and how this looks right now consume you, because one, it will pass. And this doesn't define how parenthood looks and feels. You're a special breed. This is gonna come around one way or another. I keep telling myself that this is gonna make our relationship with her very special and unique and different, and her relationship with some of her family very unique and different, because we have some family that now realize you don't want to take for granted that time you do get with them. So just keep pushing along, and like I said, some of the best advice one of my friends gave me is always vocalize your feelings in that. The more you keep it in, the more it's going to build. So don't be afraid to reach out to a friend or a relative or your spouse or your partner and just communicate to them that you are mad. I've had many days where we're on a walk and I said, I am just sad because she's missed, she didn't get to meet her grandma yet. You just get it out and know that this isn't forever either.
Right.
And that you may feel, we're all feeling a little cornered, we're all feeling isolated. It's not forever. You will come out of all of this and get creative with ways to get some you time or things that make you happy. One thing I told Brad the other day, I said, man, sometimes it's just easier to stay on the couch and nurse in here because I've got my boppy and I've got this and I don't have to cover and I've got this and XYZ and it's just easier. But I said, man, when it's a beautiful 70-degree day, you just have to get outside. You've got to go breathe the fresh air. Even when sometimes it's harder and maybe you're out there for 3 minutes and then back in because you forgot a burp cloth, but just do it. Go out barefoot, go out, do whatever you need to do to get the fresh air. I bought myself, and this is maybe not essential product, but I bought myself some bubble bath, and I told Brad, I said, I want to take a bubble bath. Like, I need to just have, and that makes me feel better, and that's going to make you a better mom and parent. So find your little things to help you get through this, to help you with that maybe anger or maybe some disappointment you're feeling, and yeah, just embrace it.
That's great advice. Brad,
Yeah.
did you have anything to add as a dad?
Yeah, don't do anything to put your family at risk. And what I mean by that is you're gonna be really sad to not be able to have your family come around, and your wife is gonna want to go out to the grocery store and just get out of the house and be around people. Try your hardest to not do that, and I'm doing all the grocery runs, which is not fun. Not only are the shelves bare, but I've got to figure out where everything is in the store because Callie normally does our grocery shopping, but I don't want them to put themselves at risk, So if we have to go out and about for supplies, I go out and get them, but then just be there for support. Think of fun things to do outside. This is a perfect time to have this going on because it has been beautiful. So have fun outside and have fun with your family because you won't have this much time with just your family. So just try to think of creative ways to keep your family safe.
That's a great perspective. I really appreciate you guys both taking the time to talk about this because you guys have really given some raw information about what families are going through, how they can go through different aspects of having the baby, being pregnant, just the whole ordeal of being a new parent. So thank you so much, Kelly and Brad.
Thank you.